I signed up for a game jam with no experience. What the f is that? I've never done a game jam before, but here's the scenario. I got me, my wife, and one of my best friends, Matthew, to help me with the game. I'm gonna be programming and using the game engine, and they're gonna be mostly working on art and sound effects.
Oh, that's hot.
We ended up joining the Pirate Software Game Jam 15. This is a 2-week game jam, and in order to complete this game jam, we have to do 2 things. We have to make the actual game, and we have to do something called a game design document.
What do you mean by that?
When I woke up, this was the theme that was presented. Shadows and alchemy. Shadows, it can be governments, secret societies, elemental effects. And then alchemy, it can be transformation, synthesis, combination. So we hopped in the Discord, and the first idea that we came up with was an escape room. And in order to escape, you have to solve puzzles. And in order to do that, you have to combine colors. So we incorporate the shadows theme by being able to traverse the rooms with a flashlight, so the room would already be dark. And we use the alchemy theme by combining colors to create new colors. And we can use those new colors to then complete puzzles, and that was the initial idea. I had already decided that Godot was going to be the game engine of choice, mostly because 3D sounded a little too complicated for my first game jam. That's when Glimmer and the Gloomy was born. Glimmer and the Gloomy. So I added the default character as my first sprite, added a collision shape, and yoinked some code for some movement. All right. It's working. I ended up making a janky flashlight, an A sprite, and we basically did all the art in A sprite. I also ended up adding extra colors so that you can change the colors of the flashlight. So 1 is red, 2 is green, 3 is blue. It's like a disco up in this shit, homie. I made a little hotbar for the colors, and after sitting there for a couple seconds, I was confused. This game was way too ambitious. We kind of threw it all together, and I wrote a bunch of notes and a bunch of different ideas. So the game just ended up stagnating for like maybe 5 days. We decided to trash that shit. This is the new idea. You'll play as this character who holds a ball. He can throw the ball to the walls. The ball basically absorbs the color of the wall. If the ball hits red, the ball turns red. Then, while the ball's red, if the ball hits blue, it combines red and blue. What does red and blue make? Purple. If the ball changes to the target color for that level, which in this case is purple, then you would have completed that level. We're going to be introducing enemies as well. Enemies that you can shoot at. And so this was the game. Now to get to work. I created some walls. I created a ball. This ball will be what the character will shoot around on the screen. But currently the ball doesn't move or shoot yet. So I implemented some code to give the player ball possession, so it has a radius around the player. And after literal hours of debugging, the player can actually shoot the ball. And I started doing what seemed to be the easiest way to implement levels, which is just to hard code them. And this is kind of in order from north to west. So it's north wall, east wall, south wall, west wall. Currently I'm on level 2. So north is green, orange, purple, white. Green, orange, purple, white. So I just realized there's a thing called shaders. I created a shader script, and apparently you can write logic for every single pixel. So now I have this ball, and I can change it to whatever fill color I want. Currently I have it set to green. It's freaking green. Now I need to make it so that the ball can combine 2 of our wall colors, which I'm hard coding as well, baby. Let's go. And then after a few hours of hard coding, my colors started combining properly. So if my target color is purple, you see I just mix red and blue, and then it changes to level 2. And for green, we'd mix yellow and blue. So now we're at level 3. And then if we want to make orange, we mix yellow and red. We decided to just do primary colors, and so we finished all the color combinations. I also put inside the game this cute little sprite that my wife made, and I also decided to add the enemies, which my wife also made. The enemies chase you, and you still have to get your colors. You can go on the next level and there can be more enemies, and if I run into the enemies, I die. So we got a little bit of a UI going here, and since I already added the sprites, I decided to add some animations, which my wife also made. So as you can see, I have running animations, although it's really hard to tell, and I also have enemy floating animation. You can see like the enemies kind of like floating around, and they have a health bar. They all have health bars. Looks kind of cute. Now the issue was the enemies are spawning in the same corners, and so I'm going to do random spawn points. Is this how you create spawn points? Let's see if I just add 20 enemies right off the bat. We should have a bunch of randomness here. Oh my god. Dude, the game lags so hard. We don't need as many spawn points as we have currently. That'll work for now. I have most of the gameplay mechanics done, so we should work on some UI. We have a bunch of menus, so we can play the game. We can restart it. See, this is level 2, click, restart. We're back to level 1. We can continue the game, so we can be here. There's an enemy here, pause, continue, and he's still there. We also have a tutorial, so if you want to understand how to play the game, there's a neat little tutorial for you. Here's a little clip of me beating the game and almost getting crushed by these enemies. No.
Oh! Oh my god!
Oh my god. I'm nutty with it. Let's go. And so we arrived at our last day of the game jam where me, my buddy, and my wife did our final touch-ups before the game was to be submitted. I also was making a game design document, which I've never done before. A little bit of a summary, some characters, some storylines, the mechanics. I still have to update this, but this is gonna be like a simple game design doc. Changed my colors to the new color palette, and it looks a lot better. The ball catching is more forgiving, so you don't have to be right on top of it to catch it. All right, so it looks like I added some audio so this game isn't so boring, and so when the ball hits the wall, we should be able to play this new audio. So all right, let's see it. Finish adding some key components on this day, and at 1:51 a.m. I was finally able to publish our game to itch.io. You can run the game. The new ball looks way better than my stinky ball. Thanks to Matthew, the ball has more of like a glass hint to it. It looks more polished. Some sound now. There's sound from when a level is passed, like the wall, and there's sound when the ball hits the wall. And as you can see, the new background and the new walls that Matthew made just makes the game look so much prettier. Now, time to get 6 hours of sleep and wake up for the final seconds of the game jam. So I woke up. If you look at the game, it's in there. I feel less stress. The goal has been completed. And as we got closer to the final second of the submission deadline, people started counting down in the Pirate Software Discord. Wow. Submissions due. -1. If you're curious, there was 2,415 entries, and this psycho submitted 3 seconds before the deadline. Contrast that with me. Seemed like I'm the most safest submission of all. Submitted 7 hours and 18 minutes before the deadline. What are the top things that I learned? Game jams force you to cut that perfectionist mindset. In a game jam, you have no time, so it forces you to get it done. If after you finish the game and you have time, then that's when you can start improving on your game. The next thing I learned is write a GDD before developing a game. This process is gonna force you to think about the mechanics of the game loop, the art, the kind of story you want to tell. It's gonna force you to really flesh out the game before you even write a line of code, draw a single asset. If it's all good in paper, then developing is gonna be so much more easier. Another thing that I learned, don't be afraid to pivot. Ideally, if you did the GDD step correctly, then pivoting might just mean writing a new GDD. But just because you had one idea doesn't mean you have to stick with it. If it can't be done within the time frame, you can always work on it later. Another thing is if a feature seems too complicated, break it down until you can't no more. This is like first principles thinking. Break things down and build it up from there. For example, if you want to implement enemies running to your location, don't think about it as a big chunk. Think about it as separate steps. First, the enemy needs to spawn. Now they need to move. Maybe make the enemy move in one direction. Then figure out, how do I make it move to my location? Use Google, ChatGPT, your game engine documentation, and you're going to be just fine. If you want to make games, just start. What you should do, open up your tab, go to itch.io, go to the jams tab, pick a game jam, and sign up for it right now, and thank me later. I'm going to link in the description below the game that we created if you guys want to play it. Thank you for watching the video. See you guys next time.